It makes sense that NASA operates with a veil of secrecy. They're working with cutting-edge science and exploring the vast mysteries of the cosmos. After all, the idea of highly classified information landing in the wrong hands feels like the opening scene of a sci-fi thriller. But every now and then, that veil slips, and top-secret content ends up where it's not supposed to be. In today's video, we'll take a look at 15 restricted NASA secrets that were accidentally leaked to the public, and some might surprise you. Let's start with number 15, the Hubble failure. After being launched in 1990, the Hubble Space Telescope faced a major issue that could have derailed its mission. The highly anticipated telescope, which was meant to provide clear images of deep space, suffered from a misaligned primary mirror. The fault was traced back to the mirror's polishing. It had been ground too flat by the contractors. This flaw caused images to appear blurry, raising concerns that Hubble's mission would fail. However, NASA's engineers quickly devised a solution: the installation of corrective optics, known as CoStar, which would compensate for the flaw. Despite the rocky start, Hubble's contributions to astronomy are priceless, providing breathtaking images of galaxies, nebulae, and distant stars, revolutionizing our understanding of the universe. The telescope's eventual success underscored the resilience of NASA's problem-solving capabilities, and today, it remains one of the most important scientific instruments in space exploration. The Hubble Space Telescope is like a window to the universe. Number 14, the Columbia disaster. On February 1, 2003, NASA's Space Shuttle Columbia tragically disintegrated during re-entry, killing all 7 crew members aboard. The disaster was the result of a piece of foam insulation breaking off during launch, striking Columbia's left wing and damaging its thermal protection system. Although the foam strike initially seemed like a minor issue, it led to a catastrophic failure when the shuttle re-entered Earth's atmosphere. This disaster forced NASA to ground its shuttle fleet for nearly 2 years, re-evaluating and overhauling safety protocols to prevent such an incident from happening again. The tragedy deeply impacted the space community and raised questions about the shuttle program's risks. The disaster also led to changes in NASA's approach to risk management and safety, emphasizing the need for more cautious procedures and better inspections during shuttle missions. What was meant to be a routine mission turned into one of NASA's most devastating accidents, serving as a reminder that space exploration is not a risk-free endeavor. It requires constant vigilance and caution. If not, tragedies like this can occur. Number 13. Mars Climate Orbiter Incident. In 1999, NASA lost its $125 million Mars Climate Orbiter due to a seemingly small mistake: the failure to convert imperial units to metric units. The Mars Climate Orbiter, which was supposed to orbit the Red Planet, was tragically lost after engineers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory used imperial measurements, while the spacecraft's navigation system was set to interpret data in metric units. This mismatch caused the spacecraft to fly too low, and it ultimately disintegrated in Mars's atmosphere. The incident was an embarrassing oversight and resulted in the loss of an important mission. It also led to major changes in NASA's protocols, ensuring that proper unit conversions and checks are in place for future space missions. Despite the mishap, NASA has continued to learn from this failure, refining its procedures to ensure that similar mistakes don't occur in the future. Number 12. Space madness. Early space exploration was not just a physical challenge, but also a mental one. NASA feared that astronauts, isolated in the confines of space, might suffer from space madness, a psychological condition caused by prolonged exposure to the harsh environment of space. To combat this, astronauts were subjected to rigorous psychological screening before being selected for missions. Early studies on astronauts' mental health during the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo programs were concerned with issues like isolation, stress, and claustrophobia. However, despite all the concerns, Only a few instances of irritability and minor issues arose during the early years of space exploration. NASA's emphasis on psychological preparation for astronauts proved to be successful, and the mental well-being of astronauts has since been carefully monitored to ensure their ability to perform under the extreme conditions of space. Number 11. Eating poop in space. The prospect of long-term space missions, such as a journey to Mars, poses many challenges, one of the most surprising being food consumption. Since space missions are extremely long, NASA has been working on technology to recycle waste. One of the more unpleasant ideas that surfaced was turning human feces into food. While the idea may sound revolting, it is part of NASA's efforts to make space travel more sustainable. The waste recycling system, still in development, would take human waste, process it, and convert it into edible food. This bizarre approach, though unsettling, aims to reduce the need for massive amounts of food supplies on long-term space missions. While the technology remains experimental, it highlights the extreme measures NASA is considering to overcome the logistical challenges of deep space exploration. So will you be brave enough to eat your own poop in space for the sake of science? Well, we definitely don't. But you can share your opinion about this bizarre topic in the comments below. All right, let's move to Number 10. Woman sabotages the International Space Station. In 2018, a peculiar incident aboard the International Space Station, ISS, raised some serious concerns about the safety and integrity of the station. A mysterious hole was discovered in one of the modules of the ISS, and NASA's investigations revealed that it had been deliberately punctured. The allegations pointed toward an astronaut who, reportedly struggling with space isolation and psychological stress, had caused the damage in an attempt to return to Earth. The hole, if left unaddressed, could have led to a dangerous depressurization of the station. Luckily, the damage was patched up in time and no lives were lost. The incident highlighted the psychological pressures astronauts face in space and led to stricter monitoring of the crew's mental well-being. While we all dream of exploring the vast expanse of space, incidents like this remind us that the human mind and body have some limitations. Despite having such high-tech technology, the exploration of space is just as much a mental challenge as it is a physical one. Number 9. Astronauts lost in space forever. While there have been no incidents of astronauts being lost in space forever, there are tragic stories of animal and human casualties in the early space age. The most notable being the Soviet space dog Laika, who was sent into orbit in 1957 aboard Sputnik 2. Laika became the first living creature to orbit Earth, but tragically died from overheating due to a malfunction in her capsule. The space community deeply regretted the loss, and Laika's sacrifice underscored the risks involved in the early days of space exploration. While there are no reports of humans being lost in space, these early missions were fraught with danger, as space agencies often took enormous risks to explore the unknown. Now, here's the most interesting topic. In 2018, Elon Musk sent his own Tesla Roadster into space as a payload for SpaceX's Falcon Heavy rocket. So why did he do it? Well, Musk has always been known for his eccentricity, and this stunt was no exception. So if you ever get a chance to go for a ride in space, then you might just spot this iconic car floating around in orbit. But don't worry, it's not a sign of extraterrestrial life. Number 8. The Gemini 8 incident. The Gemini 8 mission, launched in March 1966, was the first successful docking in space. However, shortly after undocking, the spacecraft began spinning uncontrollably, which threatened to incapacitate the crew and potentially lead to disaster. The astronauts, including Neil Armstrong, who would later become the first man on the moon, managed to regain control and avert a catastrophe. This terrifying emergency marked the first major in-flight space emergency. The successful resolution of the Gemini 8 incident proved that NASA's astronauts were able to remain calm under pressure and demonstrated the resilience and ingenuity of space exploration. It also highlighted the need for more extensive contingency planning and better equipment to handle such emergencies. If anything, the Gemini 8 incident served as a stark reminder that despite extensive training, you are still vulnerable to the unpredictable nature of space. Number 7. The Cosmos 954 satellite crash. In 1978, the Soviet Union's Cosmos 954 satellite, which was carrying radioactive material, re-entered Earth's atmosphere and crashed in northern Canada. The explosion scattered radioactive debris across a large area, prompting an extensive cleanup operation called Operation Morning Light. Both the United States and Canada collaborated on the recovery efforts, searching over 124,000 kilometers for the remnants of the satellite. Despite the cleanup, the radioactive contamination lingered, and the incident raised concerns about the safety of nuclear-powered spacecraft. The Cosmos 954 crash exposed vulnerabilities in space exploration and underscored the dangers of using radioactive materials in satellites. Number 6. The Intelsat 708 disaster. In 1996, the launch of the Intelsat 708 satellite from China ended in disaster. Just moments after liftoff, the Long March 3B rocket veered off course, causing the satellite to crash into a nearby village. The explosion destroyed buildings and caused a massive fireball. Official reports claim that 6 people died, but eyewitness accounts suggested the toll may have been much higher. An investigation revealed that a defect in the rocket's guidance system had caused the failure. This tragedy highlighted the risks associated with rocket launches and led to improved safety protocols for future missions, especially in densely populated areas. Number 5. Space Shuttle Challenger disaster. The Space Shuttle Challenger disaster on January 28, 1986, remains one of the most heartbreaking moments in space history. The shuttle, carrying 7 astronauts, including teacher Krista McAuliffe, exploded just 73 seconds after launch. The O-ring failure in one of the booster rockets led to a chain reaction that caused the shuttle's destruction. This disaster profoundly impacted NASA, leading to a 2-year hiatus in shuttle flights. The investigation revealed the need for better safety protocols, particularly concerning the O-rings and the temperature at launch. The Challenger disaster remains a somber reminder of the dangers faced by astronauts and the human cost of space exploration. Number 4. Apollo 13. Explosion. Apollo 13, originally designed to be NASA's 3rd lunar landing mission, became one of the most dramatic moments in space history when an oxygen tank exploded just 2 days after launch in April 1970. The explosion crippled the spacecraft, causing a catastrophic loss of power and life support systems. The astronauts, Jim Lovell, Fred Hayes, and Jack Swigert, were stranded 200,000 miles from Earth, with their lives hanging in the balance. Faced with this life-threatening crisis, the crew, along with the ingenuity of NASA's ground control team, worked together to devise a daring plan to return to Earth. By using the lunar module as a lifeboat, they were able to safely navigate back home. The Apollo 13 disaster was a vital moment for space exploration, highlighting the importance of contingency planning, quick thinking, and effective teamwork under pressure. The incident forever reshaped NASA's approach to space missions and crisis management. Number 3. Soyuz 11. Disaster. In June 1971, the Soyuz 11 mission ended tragically when 3 Soviet cosmonauts died during re-entry. The crew had successfully docked with the world's first space station, Salyut 1, and spent 23 days conducting scientific experiments. However, during re-entry, a malfunction with the pressure equalization valve caused the cabin to depressurize. The cosmonauts, who were not wearing pressure suits, were exposed to the vacuum of space and died from asphyxiation. The Soyuz 11 disaster led to significant changes in spaceflight safety protocols, including the requirement for pressure suits during re-entry. It remains one of the most tragic events in space history. Number 2. Soyuz 1 crash. On April 24, 1967, the Soyuz 1 crash became a tragic milestone in Soviet space history, marking the first fatality in their space program. The spacecraft, carrying cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov, had completed a successful mission aboard the world's first space station, Salyut 1. However, during its return to Earth, a critical failure occurred when one of Soyuz 1's parachutes malfunctioned. The spacecraft fell from an altitude of 42 miles and crashed to the ground, killing Komarov instantly. As the only cosmonaut to have flown twice in space, Komarov's death was a devastating blow to the Soviet space program. This tragic event underscored the perilous nature of early space exploration and exposed critical flaws in spacecraft design and safety protocols. The disaster prompted the Soviet Union to implement stricter safety measures in subsequent missions, ensuring that future cosmonauts would have better protection. Komarov's sacrifice remains a solemn reminder of the risks faced by astronauts during the early days of space exploration. Number 1. Planet 9 discovery. In 2016, astronomers at Caltech proposed the intriguing possibility of a 9th planet lurking at the edge of our solar system, beyond Neptune. Dubbed Planet 9, this hypothetical world is believed to be influencing the orbits of distant trans-Neptunian objects. Though it has yet to be directly observed, the evidence for Planet 9's existence comes from anomalies in the orbits of these objects, which appear to be shaped by the gravitational pull of an unseen massive planet. If real, Planet 9 could be between 5 to 10 times the mass of Earth, with an orbit so elongated that it takes between 10,000 and 20,000 years to complete one full revolution around the Sun. Despite the absence of direct observation, this mysterious planet continues to capture the public's imagination and fuels ongoing searches using advanced telescopes. The discovery of Planet 9 would dramatically reshape our understanding of the outer solar system. Well, that's it for today, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content like this. Until next time, stay curious, stay amazed, and keep exploring the wonders of our universe.